if you're passionate about it, you don't have to make $1 million doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You just get it out there and see what
Yeah.
happens and start that process.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I started the process by quitting my job, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the little seed that started rolling down the hill that became the giant boulder that then
Mm-hmm.
became a big snowball
Yeah.
of events going my way. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you have that thing, maybe you have the best technique for icing cupcakes that
Mm-hmm.
nobody's ever seen before. Why would you not share that, right?
True.
Whatever it is, like I'm just trying to pull out things like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you make paper from
Mm-hmm.
recycled newspapers, like
Yeah.
new paper.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, there's something that you do your own way that nobody else does
Yeah.
like you do it. And you
Mm-hmm.
can package that up and you can put it out to the world and change lives with it. I
Yeah.
know it doesn't matter what it is. It
Mm-hmm.
can be the difference between living a fulfilled life
Mm-hmm.
or living a life crying at your desk every morning.
All right. Hello and welcome everybody to the Your Best Self podcast, where I get to interview successful and or inspiring people that get to share their story, their obstacles along the way, what they have learned from those obstacles, and how they got to where they are today. My name is Robert Hurt, and today I have the honor to be interviewing Amanda Dake, who is not only the founder and the owner of AmandaDake.com, but also of Funnel Kitchen since 2011. And she is guiding and helping coaches and entrepreneurs on their way to be creating and launching their own online program. So if that is something that you want to do, if you ever thought about, all right, I have a little bit of knowledge inside of myself, I want to create my own program, I want to create my own course, then this is definitely the interview that you should be watching. So with that said, Amanda, welcome to the interview. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
Fantastic. So Amanda, tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get into doing what you do right now?
Well, I started out as a high school science teacher and tennis
Mm-hmm.
coach.
Okay.
And so I went to university to do that. That was the path that I had chosen. I earned my master's degree in higher education administration, thinking I would go off to be a dean of students at a university or something like that. So education was just kind of a big part of my life. Growing up, my parents were both educators. And so it just kind of felt that's what I was supposed to do.
Okay.
So I did that for 12 years. And in 2011, I was super unhappy. It was, to me, something was missing. And I don't know, maybe some of your listeners can relate. Maybe you can relate. I would go to work, and I don't share this with very many people, by the way. I'm just going to be honest about this.
Fantastic.
It's my new thing, trying out of being vulnerable and letting
Okay. That's
letting
great.
down
That's
some
fantastic.
walls. Okay. So I would get to work every morning and I would cry. I had first hour planning period, meaning I had, that first hour of no students. That was to get ready for the day or whatever. And I would sit at my desk and I would just kind of cry in the mornings. Like I was just so unhappy. And then I would, put myself together, get ready and, take care of my students all day and then go coach. And I also have two sons and they were young, very young at the time. And so, I'd have to keep myself together and take care of my kids and just, do it over and over every single day.
Wow.
I loved teaching. I loved preparing lessons and learning new things to teach and to add into the lessons that I was teaching. There's only so many ways to teach, certain types of topics. So learning about new ways to present it or new games to play with it or something, I loved that. The hard part for me was the monotony of doing the same thing 5 or 6 times in a row every single day. That was really challenging for me. And also the bureaucracy of the education system was really difficult. I'm not really a conformist. And I learned that about myself over those 12 years of being in that system. So finally, I don't know what happened. One day, it just was like, I've had enough. It was February of 2011. And I went to my headmaster's office and I said, this is my last year. I'm done.
Wow.
I had no plan. I had no idea what I was going to do next. You know, that was not just a job that I wasn't just pouring coffee at Starbucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, if I had to get a part-time job, I think that's what it would be, because it looks just so fun.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, like, this wasn't just a job that I had. This was a career. I had invested years of my life studying for and paying so much money to be in this place. And I thought I was going to do that until, you know, I wasn't going to work anymore. So I had no plan. I just knew this was not it. Like crying in the mornings and, you know, sacrificing time with my kids and really making not very much money for the effort and time and passion that I was putting into everything. I was just done. Wow. So by doing that, by declaring the doneness out loud and saying, okay, I've got to figure something else out, then that's when the doors started kind of opening up. So I was given an opportunity to write curriculum for an online school. Okay. So it was just like this little transition. I was moving out from the physical classroom to a virtual classroom. And that was pretty great. When I left teaching, I started writing from home. I was just writing curriculum and tests and things like that. I really was making the same kind of money, but I had freedom. And that's what I really, really wanted. I wanted to be able to go have lunch with my young boys at that time at their school, or pick them up from school, or all these different things that I wanted for my life at that time. And I got them. But that door led to me learning a lot more about technology and how certain platforms were working. And that I also was very involved in social media just personally, because it was pretty new at that time. So I was like, well, I have this extra time now, and I am really proficient at social media. So I went and decided to find a few clients to manage their social media for them. So back in 2011, I was able to get 4 clients to manage their Facebook. I think Instagram was just getting started about that time. And I'll be honest, my take-home pay as a teacher back in 2011 was $1,500 per month. It was not much. Yeah. It was not much. So for me, all I really needed to replace was that. I wasn't here to get rich. I was just trying to do some things on my terms. And I decided, like, okay, I'm just going to I'm going to post on Facebook for people. And Twitter was really popular. So I was managing Twitter. And then I think Instagram kind of came in. And so I learned that as it was launching. I would do that for the businesses that I worked with for $500 a month.
Wow.
So I was able to get 4 clients local to where I live and replaced my income almost immediately.
Wow. That's amazing.
I was able to stop writing the curriculum for the school, the online school. And I really was stepping into my own thing. Like, I didn't have I was so used to having an employer, you know, and maybe a lot of you are like that, where you're just used to having a job. You're used to having a boss, and you're used to being told where to be and when to be there and how much money you're going to get paid for that time. And now I was out of that, and I was creating my own time, my own pay, my own everything. One big transition that was hard and still catches me sometimes is still that time for money trade. Meaning I was used to working 40 plus hours per week for a certain amount of money. So going out on your own, and if you've been in that other place for a really long time, it's a really hard habit to break, I guess, or a mindset to shift out of. If you're charging $500 per client, I was still stuck like, well, I better give them $500 worth of hours.
Yeah.
It wasn't about my knowledge and my expertise at that time. It was still this time for money trading. Or if they're going to pay me $500, then I need to give them a tangible item back that is valued at $500. So that's been a very big part of my growth. Transitioning out of, like, I'll say even corporate world, like just the employer world, into being self-employed entrepreneur, is breaking that cycle of that time for money kind of thing.
Yeah, and
So
it's not easy to do that, right? Sorry to interrupt you. It's not easy
no,
because, especially if you've been into, the corporate world for 12 years and been doing it over and over again, day in, day out, now breaking out of that and going on your own is obviously extremely hard. And I would love to, get back to that in just a
yeah,
second after you
no, we
finish your
can
story.
keep going with that. So that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just said, I kept saying yes to opportunities
Mm-hmm.
and saying no to other things. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when the doors just kept opening. Had I
Mm-hmm.
not gone in and told my boss
Mm-hmm.
in February of 2011 that I was done, then those other doors never would have been visible to me.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because in school systems, the school year doesn't end until May or June. So that meant I had February till June that I still was employed and,
Mm-hmm.
showed up and did my job.
Mm-hmm.
But it also gave me that leeway to figure out what was next.
Yeah.
And so those opportunities were starting to find me,
Mm-hmm.
or I was able to see them when I declared, like, I'm done. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
do something else.
Yeah.
So, but from there, I just kept learning a
Mm-hmm.
lot and studying, and found ClickFunnels, which is a
Mm-hmm.
software company that Russell Brunson started back in 2014. I found it whenever it basically was brand new.
Mm-hmm.
I took a bunch of chances on myself and went to his first Funnel Hacking Live in 2015 and signed up at that time to become a certified partner,
Mm-hmm.
which was really different for me to go. I had never been to Las Vegas before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that. I went by myself to this conference. I'd never been in this marketing space,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't know what to expect. And then investing thousands of dollars in myself and some thing that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like pitched at this marketing thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I did it. And that really was a big stepping stone for everything else that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I can't, like, everything that's happened has been just this amazing
Yeah.
progression of just taking those steps, those leaps of
Mm-hmm.
faith, and they've compounded or snowballed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's been an amazing journey. Not every decision I've made has been worked out to be what I thought it would be, but I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say that I've made mistakes,
Yeah.
because each one I learned a lesson,
Yeah.
if nothing else, and then it led me down a different path. So
Yeah.
it's been a
That's
really
fantastic.
fun journey. But back to the mindset thing, though, it still
Mm-hmm.
is something that I help a lot of people with now. And I
Mm-hmm.
still have to kind of be reminded, like, no, it's okay to charge a certain amount of money for the experiences that I've had, or the vision that I can hold for others, or for the mistakes that I made,
Yeah.
so
And
others
the
don't
lessons
have
of
to
that.
make them.
Yeah. True.
So it's been a pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
experience, but it's a constant personal development exercise. I'll say
That's
that.
fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I believe that a lot of people can relate to that, going to their job every single morning and, even like they wake up and already there, it begins that they just don't want to get out of bed. They don't feel like, is it really, what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? So if, you're watching this and you can relate, then, take Amanda for an example that just said, no more. She drew like a sand in the line, a line in the sand, more to say, and then went on and did her own thing. And I think that this is very brave to do, because obviously, you said you didn't have a backup plan, so to speak, like you didn't know what you were doing
No.
after that. So what was going through your mind while, like, you said, I quit, basically, then you had a few months, and what mindset or what thoughts that you had over the next few months of this uncertainty?
I did not have the uncertainty. That's the crazy thing. I think if you've ever been in a situation where, especially if you're a parent and you have to really just respond immediately to what's going on, and then later on you can process it and react to what's going on. That's kind of where I was. It was just like all about, all right, we're taking some action. Like, I don't have time to think about anything. I don't have
Yeah.
time to be afraid of anything. We just got to make sure that the bills are going to get paid.
Yeah.
So that's really where I was. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, so say you have a child that you like, your child or somebody you're caring for, and they fall and they break their arm. Well, you
Mm-hmm.
don't sit there and go, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to
Yeah.
their arm?
Uh-huh.
They're never going to be able to ride again. And they're never, what?
Mm-hmm.
No, you take them immediately to the doctor and you get it fixed. And later
Mm-hmm.
on, you can react to like respond
Yeah.
or whatever to how you feel about it. So
Mm-hmm.
at that time, I didn't have time to
Mm-hmm.
feel anything about it. I just was there to find the thing that I was going to do next and go
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Wow.
And so now I think that's a big problem, is we give ourselves maybe too much time,
Mm-hmm.
or we spend way too much time in our heads, and that
Mm-hmm.
means we're not taking any action.
Yeah.
And then we start overthinking everything, and then we get paralyzed by all the
Mm-hmm.
thoughts of all the big snowball reactions and things that haven't even happened yet. And
Mm-hmm.
so for
Exactly.
me, it was just, I didn't have time to think. I had to
Yeah.
just keep moving forward and
Mm-hmm.
do it. And plus my children were, I think, 6 and 3 at that
Mm-hmm.
time. So I was pretty busy even without my job.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it yeah, but I'll tell you what, just making that choice
Mm-hmm.
for myself changed the energy around everything I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you are doing something you don't enjoy, especially if you're working a 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
Sundays can bring anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
just that pit feeling in your
Yeah.
stomach, like, oh,
Uh,
Sunday,
mm-hmm.
tomorrow's Monday, I got to get back and do it all again. And the crazy thing is, I don't have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I am so grateful for that. There was a call that I finished with a client a couple weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago. And at the end of it, I was like, okay, well, hope you have a great weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Monday. I didn't know what day it
Yeah, that's
was.
amazing. So basically, every day is sort
Every
of the
day's
weekend,
whatever
right?
I want it to
Yeah,
be. Yeah.
exactly.
And I
Yeah.
don't have that pit in the stomach
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And I'm not saying that every single thing that I do, I'm on fire for it and I
Mm-hmm.
love every bit of it. Like, no, there's stuff that I still do for my own business that I don't really enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy bookkeeping or
Mm-hmm.
managing the legal LLC
Mm-hmm.
documents or all that stuff. I don't really like it, but I do it.
Mm-hmm.
The other stuff makes up for it. I don't have that Sunday night pit in my stomach because the
Mm-hmm.
next day is Monday.
Yeah.
And I get to, my boys are now going to be 16 and 13. So
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
a huge difference as we're
Mm-hmm.
10 years down the road, but I still get to be present for them. And that was really, really important for me.
Yeah.
My oldest son plays ice hockey,
Mm.
and we travel all over the United States to
Wow.
do that. So I have created the life that I can go with him
That's
and
fantastic.
travel with him at this young age that he is, and do these things together. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really, really spectacular. And
Yeah.
now I get to help others take the similar journey
Mm-hmm.
from doing something, even if you don't not like it, but you know that there's more for your life, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you want more freedom. It's not even about the money so much. If you think about what do you want the money for, if you
Mm-hmm.
really want to make a lot of money, there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money,
Sure.
but what do you really want that money for? And I
Mm-hmm.
bet you the majority of people will want it because they want to be free.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Free to make any choice they want, free to go on any trip that they want, free to go have lunch with wine on a Tuesday. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
just is about freedom.
Yeah.
And I love to help people find that for themselves.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I totally agree that I think that what most people want is the freedom, right? To do basically whatever they want to do in their life and be happy with the choices that they make and have, the possibility to make those choices. And I believe
Yeah.
that every single one of us has the choice to do that. And, I loved everything that you said. And I want to quickly go back to the fact that a lot of people, they overthink a lot of things, especially when they are in this little bubble that they have created of going to a job, and they have built a certain lifestyle around their job, right? Because they can afford a certain lifestyle now. But a lot of people don't have the necessity, I would say, of saying no more, I quit,
Yeah.
and then going into building their own thing. So would you think or say that it's important to sometimes burn a couple of the boats that you have behind yourself?
Yes, it's tough. And,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're unhappy, your ego, will
Mm-hmm.
say, can tell you, like, well, we're comfortable though.
Exactly.
Our bills are paid.
Yeah.
You get weekends off,
Mm-hmm.
and you get a few days off in the summer or for a vacation here and there. Like, you have health insurance, like
Mm-hmm.
everything's pretty easy.
Sure.
So why do you need to change?
Exactly.
And I don't know what the trigger is. For me, it was crying every day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that wasn't going to be all right. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew that I needed to impact more people
Mm-hmm.
than I was. I am here to do bigger things than just with 20 to 30 kids at a time in a classroom. My message and my mission is way bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
So now that was just one of the stair steps to maybe hone in my teaching skills, right? Or hone in my ability to create curriculum or to map out programs with people or whatever. Like, there's so many reasons why that was a big part of my life at that time, but something switched and I was like, nope, it's time. I got to do
Mm-hmm.
something different. And this was before I did any kind of personal development. And that's what's really, I look back on it now, I'm like, man, how did I do that? I
Mm-hmm.
wish I
Yeah.
had the answer because I just
Uh-huh.
don't know.
Yeah.
Something happened inside of me that
Mm-hmm.
said, I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that I had a book that I read
Mm-hmm.
or a conversation with a coach. I didn't even have a coach at that time. Like,
Yeah.
that wasn't even a thing
Mm-hmm.
for me back then. So I wish I had
Mm-hmm.
the answer, like, how will you
Mm-hmm.
know when it's time? And you'll just know.
You just know. Yeah.
You'll
We'll
just
just.
know.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's fantastic. So then you worked, for like for other clients, you did their social
Yep.
media. And is that how you basically, you got, that's how you got to where you are now, right? And what obstacles have you had, during that time? Because obviously you now had to find clients. And by the way, how did you find the clients in the first place?
So I found the clients in the first place here locally. So
Mm-hmm.
my brother and sister are both very big in the restaurant industry here. And so since they were so connected, they knew some of the restaurateurs that might need my help. And so
Mm-hmm.
they really were helpful in helping me getting in front of those business owners to then offer my service to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really it was just my network.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a teacher, not in this digital world at that time, using my relationships and using my relationships sounds like I was using them.
Yeah.
No, capitalizing on
Mm-hmm.
my relationships and being okay with people offering to help me.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
And then from there, the challenges I had were, it just was that's when I started personal development. I
Mm-hmm.
hired a coach, a mentor of sorts. I worked with him for 4.5, 5 years. And it was like, okay, there's more
Mm-hmm.
than this. And that was, so the challenges really were uncomfortable growth because
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
not comfortable to
Absolutely.
basically disrupt your entire psyche about
Mm-hmm.
everything you believe about yourself and
Mm-hmm.
others and the world around you.
Yes.
Um, and I also personally, I went through a divorce
Mm-hmm.
during that time. And that was another situation where it's just, when you know, you'll know. I
Mm.
have had other people ask me, like, well, how did you know when it was time to, really
Mm-hmm.
split ways? And I wish that I had, like, he had done the last
Yeah.
straw or had this,
Mm-hmm.
I just knew it was
Just know.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And, but challenges as growing my business was really defining who I wanted to work with
Mm-hmm.
and what I wanted to do. It
Mm.
was, the world is your oyster, right? You can
Yes.
choose anything. And
Yes.
when you have all of those choices, that's when we really become paralyzed and usually
Mm-hmm.
do nothing.
Yeah.
So I had to really just start chiseling away and discovering where my zone of genius is.
Mm-hmm.
and who I wanted to share that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I'll say is, because I was a teacher for so long and I was done with it because of how I felt while I was in it at the end, I really tried to avoid teaching
Mm-hmm.
at all costs.
Yeah.
So it was only just a few years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, where I started to embrace that side of me again.
Mm-hmm.
That's my zone of genius.
Mm.
And everything else was like, if you've ever read The Big Leap, that's
Mm-hmm.
where I'm talking about the zones, right?
Yeah.
So I think I was operating in my zone of excellence.
Mm-hmm.
I think is what he calls it. Like, I'm really proficient. I was building funnels, like, and I was charging $15,000, $25,000 to build these
Wow.
funnels for
Mm-hmm.
businesses. They were fantastic funnels and they
Mm-hmm.
were generating money and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? I was not in my zone of genius.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing something, I was very good at it,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't it. So
Mm-hmm.
when I started to really identify what that was and what my gifts were or
Mm-hmm.
are, and started to embrace them and bring them out, that's when things really started taking off.
Mm-hmm.
Although, like, and that's when I was saying, like, the money was great.
Yeah.
So to me, though, there's way more to it than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be, for me, I have to have some type of fulfillment and a contribution to the masses, not just working one-on-one with a client to build them out a funnel to sell their products.
Mm-hmm.
While that's important, I had more to do. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
discovering what that is and owning it, I think was, and still can be, challenging at times.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And would you say that, this moment where you realize, right, I got to get back into my zone of genius was sort of like your breakthrough moment where you realize, all right, this is what I want to do basically for the rest of my life or for the next few years coming up?
Yeah, it was pivotal, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
It was the kind of thing, though, that kind of makes you mad because you're like, "Ah, I don't want to go. I don't want to do that."
Yeah.
And everything around you is telling you that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized it after I would give a masterclass presentation, right? Or I would host a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would speak on, I love speaking at events. So I would speak from stage, and you know that you're supposed to be doing the thing when you finish it and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
man, that feels so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't doing that when I was building funnels. I wasn't like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm so glad that funnel launched. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, it wasn't
It's just
like
like,
that.
uh-huh.
Like, yeah, we did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about when I finished that workshop, when I finished that class, even
Mm-hmm.
even a coaching call one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
when it's over, I'm like, man, that was great. That was great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's nothing better for me than to feel that way
Mm-hmm.
about knowing that because I showed up as me and
Mm-hmm.
did my thing, it's changing the lives of other people
Yeah.
exponentially, because
Mm-hmm.
not only am I changing that particular person's life, I'm giving them permission or the
Mm-hmm.
skills or whatever to go off and do the thing that
Yeah.
they are meant to do, which is
Mm-hmm.
going to also impact so many more people.
Mm.
That's where I know I'm fulfilling my purpose, because
Yeah.
my impact is so much greater.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I love the fact that, for a lot of people that is sort of become more and more successful, that at some point they realize, what is truly making me happy. And most of the time it's truly having a positive impact on other people and helping other people succeed, right? It's very interesting
Yeah.
that this is, where the source of sort of happiness is coming from, because, all the money in the world, yes, it's good. I mean, money
It's
is great, but
fun.
in the end, so like if you are not happy with what you're doing and you're waking up and you're like,
Yeah.
there's this feeling, inside of you that something isn't right, then that there's still something you need to discover in order to do that. So
Yeah.
now, what would you consider now that you do? You help people to create their own courses, their own programs, and help them launch them, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you and what we've talked about even offline was, it's so much more than just the technical aspects.
Yeah.
There's so much personal development that goes along with the
Mm-hmm.
entire process and the mindset behind it. And not only from the mindset of what should I charge or who should I work with, but the mindset of going bigger
Mm-hmm.
and being okay and owning that space.
Yeah.
And so we do talk technical things throughout the year that I work with people. But it's a lot of personal growth as well.
I bet, because that would be the next question that I have is, what challenges or obstacles do your clients mainly have when it comes to creating a business or an online program?
I think there's a lot of noise out there, and that's the biggest hurdle, is really shutting out the noise and focusing on what it is that you want. We are so used to now going to social media and seeing what other people are doing, and then we inevitably bring it back onto ourselves, like, oh, should I be doing that? Oh, look how great they're doing, maybe I should be doing that, or whatever, instead of just focused on the thing that we really want to do and being okay with it. We're really used to seeking that external validation or the approval of others. And so those are the hurdles, I think, about just really deciding on one thing and going for it. Because we falter back and forth, or our egos tell us, like, no, we just want it easy. We just need to make a few $1,000s a month and we're fine. Stay small. Nobody cares what you have to say. Nobody's going to buy this. There's so many things that start coming up when you start creating your own program, or you go and do your own thing. And that's a lot of stuff that we have to work through. The technicalities, the funnel itself, all of that is just like science, right? It's like, oh, we have a formula and we put it through it and it's fine. But it's all the personal stuff that comes up through that technical process that is really where I think the magic starts happening.
Yeah.
Getting people to charge more for their services and their expertise is also a big work in progress with many people. They come in thinking that, well, I was just going to charge, $297 for this course. And I'm like, what? That's $5,000 of stuff there. You know what I mean? So really educating people on how to price their programs and to see the value in what they know and how they can help others. That's a big part of it too. Yeah. But like I said, the funnels and the techie stuff, like that's cakewalk compared to everything else that we have to do.
I bet, because I like, only like from my personal experience, when it comes to creating your own product, your own, obviously, during my time of working online, I had many thoughts about creating my own product. But then all those, limiting beliefs, came into my mind, like about, right, who am I to be, creating a course about X, Y, Z? I'm still so young. What do I have to share with the world? And you just, talk yourself out of that, because as you said, the ego is like, hey, you're sort of comfortable right here. You're making a little bit of money for affiliate marketing. Why do that right now? So I believe that, a lot of the fears, fear of judgment, fear of failure, is something that your clients have to deal with, every single day, right?
It's normal. I deal with it. Luckily, I have people that I can call and work with through my own challenges. It's just, it's a constant thing. You definitely need a support system, a coach, a mentor, a group of people if you're more comfortable with that. I'm going to share with you my 12-year-old son. He'll be 13 in May. He is an entrepreneur at heart. Like, he's the creative kid that doesn't really like school. He, conformity is really hard for him. He just likes the things he likes. He taught himself how to forge metal.
Okay. Wow.
Like I know, he's learning how to basically blacksmith. And he has taught himself through studying YouTube, looking up articles, doing all these different things. I'm just sharing this because there's no excuses for anybody to not be going after the thing they want. He's a 12-year-old boy in 7th grade in Oklahoma in the US. And he's taught himself something that he absolutely loves. So our idea, and I'm going to say this, the equipment to use that he needs is getting expensive. Like, he needs something new every day, it seems like. So I was like, all right, buddy, we're going to figure out a way to help you make your own money to support this passion-y habit thing that he's doing. And I'll also say that he usually creates these ideas and he'll go back and forth, or he'll find something else after a month. But this one's he's been pretty consistent with.
Okay.
So basically, we've been outlining the premise of a course on how to get started doing blacksmith or forging. Wow. He started with just melting metal. He built this apparatus to take aluminum cans and melt them into liquid and put them into molds. And now he has like little bricks of aluminum all over the place. All of this information is out there on the internet, right? He taught himself how to do this, but he's made mistakes. He's learned some lessons. He's learned the best way for him to do it. And so now we can take that experience, we can take his results, we can package it in a nice little course and sell it.
Wow.
So if you're doubting that you aren't an expert at anything, I guarantee you there's something that you know how to do and it's very easy for you that others cannot do or is not easy for them, that you could give, that you can sell, package and sell that information.
Yeah.
So it can be done. And it's not, there's no secret formula other than having the confidence in yourself to do it. Now, for his little course, I think we were just going to sell it for maybe $47 or something, like a no-brainer price. But he's 12. Like, he's not here to do anything crazy with it. And then we decided to add a podcast component to the whole thing.
Wow.
Because he helped me open my eyes. I'm not a big YouTuber, but we were watching some shows on YouTube. They was hooked up to, the big television. I was like, I was fascinated by some of these people that he's been studying and watching. I was like, how great would it be to talk to them, right? And ask them questions. So I asked him, like, okay, how many followers or subscribers does that person have? And they have 2 million.
Wow.
They're out of the UK. I don't even know their names. They're out of the UK, and they forge this certain type of steel and make these beautiful swords and axes. Like, it's like they're weapons, but they're amazing. They're so beautiful. And it's something about the transformation of this like block of metal into something super beautiful that I think that's why my son loves it so much.
Yeah.
I was like, how great would it be to go talk to them? And I was like, that's when I said, oh, they have 2 million subscribers. That'd be very difficult to talk to that person unless you have a podcast, right?
True.
Or some way to interview them. Not many people are going to turn down the opportunity to share something about what they do or their journey. So now we're in the process of laying out the outline and of a show for himself.
Wow.
So he's 12. And so I hope that gives everyone a little bit of like encouragement to say, well, gosh, there's really no reason that I'm not doing that thing that I wanted to do. If you're passionate about it, you don't have to make $1 million doing it. You just get it out there and see what happens and start that process. Just like I started the process by quitting my job, right? That was the little seed that started rolling down the hill that became the giant boulder that then became a big snowball of events going my way. And so if you have that thing, maybe you have the best technique for icing cupcakes that nobody's ever seen before. Why would you not share that, right? True. Whatever it is, like, I'm just trying to pull out things like maybe you make paper from recycled newspapers, like new paper. Whatever it is, there's something that you do your own way that nobody else does. Like you do it. And you can package that up and you can put it out to the world and change lives with it. I know it doesn't matter what it is. It can be the difference between living a fulfilled life or living a life crying at your desk every morning.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that a lot of people, they simply have no idea, because for them, what they do or what they're good at is so common sense, and it's just
so
like second
for
nature.
them.
It's so easy, right? So they don't realize, hey, I'm an expert at that. Like, I can teach that to somebody, because for them, it's just like so easy, so second nature, that they think that everybody is, good at this. So there's nothing special about me. Right. So, as Amanda said, like, you probably have so many gifts inside of you right now that you have no idea that you have, which, it's perhaps time to take out a piece of paper and write down what you're good at and see how you can repackage that, into a course and sell it. Because if you are good at it, and if you are watching and learning, about a certain thing, then there are obviously a ton of other people that are doing the same thing and that would love to learn from your mistakes, from your lessons, and get better at it.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Yeah.
I totally agree, Amanda. So we're getting slowly close to the end of the interview, but I would love to know who inspires you today next to your son, who is obviously doing
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Both of my boys are pretty inspirational.
Mhm,
Who does inspire me? That's such a great question.
mhm,
I think I I think the people that I work with inspire me.
mhm.
The courage that they have to even just reach out to someone like me to help them.
Yeah.
That's a big leap of faith.
Mhm,
And it reminds me that I had that once and I still
yeah.
have it now. But it is inspiring to, especially when people come and start working with me, to see where
Mhm,
they are and where they want to go. It's a big, scary place to be
mhm,
sometimes. And so I love being the person to help them connect those dots.
mhm,
Um, Another person that has been pretty inspirational, I've been following her for a while and reading books from her, is Mel Robbins.
mhm.
She, I think she wrote her books just for me to
Yeah.
they're all written for about things that go on in my head,
Mhm,
but for her to share so much of herself
mhm,
in a way that can impact so many people, I am inspired to be more like that.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's why I said earlier today, like, okay, I'm going to share
Yeah.
something that I normally don't ever share.
Mhm,
Um, Hoping that by sharing that non-perfect side of
mhm.
myself will inspire others to
Yes.
take some type of action
Mhm,
or to rethink the way that they're doing things.
yeah.
And maybe that's my whole purpose here, but
Mhm,
it's been coming up a lot for me. Mel Robbins, she shares herself in
mhm,
an authentic way that inspires me to want to do the same.
mm. That's fantastic,
Just
and I love.
because of the impact it's having on me, listening to her stories and how I can
Mhm,
relate to them,
mhm.
I'm holding back so much of that. And then in turn, other people might feel like they're alone in this, or I don't know. It's a disservice. And
Yeah.
so I'm inspired by her.
That's fantastic. And I'm glad that you brought up, the point of being vulnerable, right? Because that's the purpose of this podcast and this interview as well. Because I want to show people that even the successful people that are at the top right now, they all started somewhere and they had challenges and struggles and failures that they had to go and grow through in order to get to where they are now. Because sometimes, a lot of people, they see the super successful person out
Mm-hmm.
there and they are intimidated by that person, and they think that, they're so incredibly special, and, there's this huge gap between where I am and where they are, that they just see the lag, right? Because perhaps they want to be at the top as well, but they don't know how to get there. And there's just this big gap that they have.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to help people see, with this podcast as well, that, everybody started somewhere and they had challenges and they had struggles and fears that they had to go through in order to get to where they are today.
And
Now,
I'll say it
fantastic.
doesn't end. Like
Yeah.
I still have the same kind of stuff come up,
Hmm.
but luckily I have surrounded myself with
Yes.
amazing mentors and coaches to help me
Hmm.
through whenever I spiral out of control into
Yeah.
the darkness,
Uh-huh.
or self-doubt,
Hmm.
or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
It still is there. I just have the right tools and the
Hmm.
people around me to be able to navigate it a little
Yeah.
bit better.
Hmm. And we just talked also about books, and you said, Mel Robbins is definitely somebody who inspires you. What would you recommend the top three books that if you had to recommend somebody who wants to get into personal development, they want to basically live their best life, and they only have the choice to read three books, which ones would you recommend?
Oh my goodness gracious. In personal development, I would say Take Control of Your Life by Mel Robbins.
Hmm.
Manifest Your Destiny by Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to that book every week.
Okay.
It's on Audible.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll just push play,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever is there is there.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost always hear something new.
Mm-hmm.
And I've listened to it many times. And then number 3, goodness, I'm going to say The Big Leap. I'm just going to, because we already mentioned that. It's a little bit business and a little bit mental. And so there's other books on business, you know, that I've read and reread. But if you're just really looking at the mindset side of things and kind of just shifting your perspective, those 3.
That's fantastic.
I think.
Yeah,
I read and study them over and over.
Okay, that's great, because actually I'm going to be listening to The Big Leap tomorrow, because I'm going to be driving for 3 hours, and that's the next audiobook that I have gotten myself to listen to. So I'm very excited about that. Fantastic. All right, Amanda, there's one more question that I love to ask, you know, the people that I interview by the end of the interview. And that is, if you could teach the entire world one single concept, one mindset, one message that they would understand, which one would it be?
I would teach belief in yourself.
I love that.
Not only because I struggle with it a lot, it is really the key to continue to go forward. If you don't believe in yourself, I mean, you're not going to get very far. So that would be it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think believing in yourself is probably one of the most important things on the journey to live a happy life, right? Because if you don't believe in yourself, then, as you said, you will not get that far. All right, Amanda, if people want to know more about what you do, how can they find you? How can they contact you if perhaps they want to have your help on creating their own course or program or whatever it is? How can they contact you and find you?
You can find me at amandadake.com. I also have a podcast called The Amanda Dake Show. So that's where I just kind of share tips and tricks and what's working now. It's mainly business centered, but we do talk a little mindset in there. And then Facebook, you know, normal social media. I'm Amanda Dake pretty much everywhere online. So pretty easy to find. Fantastic. And yeah, I welcome any kind of messages or outreach. Happy to help anytime I can.
Fantastic. I'll make sure to leave the links in the description down below. Amanda, is there anything else you would love to share to the end of the interview here before we wrap it up?
No, I think I'm good. I think I talked a lot on this one.
Fantastic. Now, I'm so happy that you came on and, you know, shared a lot of valuable things, because I truly believe that a lot of people will get a lot of inspiration from this interview, and, you know, some lessons that they get to learn from you as well. So thank you again for taking the time out of your day. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this interview. If you did, let me know in the comments down below, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel in order to see more interviews just like this one. So have a fantastic day, and Amanda, thank you again, and I'll see you very, very soon.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Bye-bye.